Welcome to the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. It's the London E-Prix, and we are gearing up for what is going to be a very exciting qualifying session. We're almost ready to go, so before we get ready, let's head down to the paddock and join Nikki Shields alongside Alan McNish, Billy Monger and David Coulthard.
Thinking that's a big jump, big performance. You know, I think it'll definitely be a tricky one for him to be able to achieve that.
Will he even make it through to the duels?
I think they can make it through to the duels, so he can work overnight to do that. But I think the reality is it'll not be a pole position for Oliver Rowland.
And then if we look at what's going on at DS Penske, you know, you've got Jean-Eric Verne, Max Günther there, really looking, they've got to maximise their qualifying to get the points, because there's just those 13 points between them and Jaguar in the team's championship. So there is a battle for third there, Billy.
Yeah, I think Max Günther, for me, he's a bit of a dark horse going into qualifying, because he seems to have these weekends, particularly on double-header weekends, where one day he's maybe not quite with it, and obviously he crashed out on lap one yesterday, and then the next day he just finds something. So I think for me, going into qualifying, he's a dark horse, but there's definitely the likes of the Jaguars that are the main contenders.
At DC, we've got 6 British drivers on the grid. You know, the home crowd are really backing them. We saw Dan Tickton do such a great job qualifying in P4, but unfortunately it didn't go his way as this race ended in the wall. How much of an added bonus is it being a home race, and do we think Dan can you know, be up there again in qualifying today?
Yeah, definitely an advantage being at home. There'll be more family members here to give the support as well. And I think Dan was pretty good in free practice, so maybe this is the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose we should do a quick prediction of who's going to be on pole position.
And so you come to me first. Thank you very much. I will go the other way. I'll go with the dark horse, Edo Mortara.
All right.
I like that. I'm going to go for Pascal Wehrlein. I think Porsche are going to be strong.
Yeah, I'm going for Mitch Evans. He's still angry from yesterday's race, and he's got the car and he's got the speed.
Can he put yesterday behind him, though? Leave the emotions to one side, press the reset button and have a new qualifying session today? Well, let's find out. Don't go anywhere, because qualifying is about to get underway for the final time here in London.
Welcome along to round 16 of the 2025 ABB FIA Formula E.
We're all set then for what's going to be a very interesting qualifying session as we will gear up for the start. Group A and Group B about to venture out onto the circuit, and this is going to be a tight qualifying format. Once again, we are expecting to have a little bit of a bizarre setup. And fingers crossed it's all going to be good. McLaren start their last session as well as a qualifying run. And apparently we're going to have 4 cars in the Formula 1 starting from the pit lane. So make sure you join us for that just before the end of this session. But good afternoon, everybody watching on JB Motorsports and Formula E Zone. This is our last qualifying. Joshua Birch alongside as well. JT's producing us in the background. I'm sure he'll be able to say something if he wants to, as we will get going as well. We've got hello, there he is. Got a lovely green screen and approach. I'll just make that out of the way as well. We're in a different comms box for this session, so Megan Birch will be here soon as well to come into the proceedings. I will ask JT if there's any track noise, but I don't expect it to be with it being Discovery Plus. So I know he's doing his magic to get us a good session. JT has done. I love that. Let's hear from Casti. That's the plan for Casti to stay out there the whole time. JT surprises me. You surprise me, my friend, with being able to have that track noise as well, even though we're on Discovery Plus for this session. Amazing. As they come into it. So out there on this, I should really not be looking up at the actual monitor where the bigger screen is. Coming in. Here comes Cassie then, doing the out cool run as well. We were expecting him to be in a up-down situation as he comes through the SS section at 17, 18, into 19 and 20 now, the last 2 corners on the circuit. Cassidy's results here, though, have been a little bit entertaining over the years. First, 5th, 6th and 1st has been his last run, so he's on a 2-race winning streak back-to-back. He's won 3 in a row, but yeah, he's announced that he's leaving Jaguar at the end of the season. So it's a nice little piece that he's had 2 wins in a row. He might even get 3 going somewhere as well. As we now look into the garage further back. I'm not really surprised that we'll be in this situation coming into it as well. It's one of those interesting runarounds that we're going to be in for later on today. So still closing in, and hope that we're going to be in for a strong run for today. Quite entertaining. Big jump of the hill there as well from Cassidy, and we've got the McLaren just ahead of him as well on the timing screens. So bring you in. Cassidy's done a coming through as well in the middle sector. So we've got Cassidy, Maloney, Evans, DaCosta as well. Your top 4 so far, 1:15.881 is the overall benchmark times. As you can see on the blog screen, a lot of drivers with points to prove as Cassidy takes it. But this is very much the banker lap times. We've been expecting 1:04s as the main lap times. DaCosta goes into 3rd. As we said, De Vries will then jump up the field as the rest of them come down to play. So yeah, it's going to be a tight session as we come down here. It rained overnight as well, so there's not a lot of grip out there. The practice session this morning, let's hear from Muller.
Pace if you need to overtake someone.
Try to make your own pace if you need to overtake somebody as well, so they don't want it to be a catch-22 situation where they're just stuck upon themselves time after time. Apparently the cough button didn't work. Okay. I'll remember that and go to the actual mute button on Discord then. It's because we're using a different Discord as well to come into things. Let's try it, shall we? Let's hope that worked this time. Cassidy as up to the top. Mortara takes a 1:14.769. That's his banker lap time. It does work that time. That's good news then as well. So Cassidy in 2nd. Oh, big twitch from DaCosta coming up into turn 18 and 19 as well. Still trying to have a little bit of a go around at the back. Gently puts the throttle back down over the line. And is it quick or is it not? It is quick from Cassidy. DaCosta goes 2nd fastest. Still in the 1:12, so we're not in a situation where we need to be expecting differences between. So still this will be Maloney to the top on a 1:12.663. Cassidy in 2nd, DaCosta, Evans. They're progressing through to the duels. It puts Mortara, Muller, Roland, De Vries, Dennis, Bird and Frines down a little bit on the overall deltas. And he just jumped up the order there as well across the line. I think, yeah, it's put Roland. So Roland jumps up as well into 6th position. Evans now in 5th. 7 minutes to go in this part of the session. Over the top of the crest. Desperately trying to... There's Cassidy.
Plan is to push next lap. We are pushing next lap.
The plan is to push next lap for Cassidy then. So this is still very much the bankers coming through. They don't want to have any of the situation where it's a sort of loop back situation and just sort of hold it together. Sort of, it kind of makes more sense though, really, that they don't want to lose out on situations. But let's just see if that changes. Middle sectors are looking a bit stronger as well. And yeah, still a lot of improvements as they come back through. Cassidy's first sector is red. Regen brakes looks a bit down. Evans as well. First sector's looking good. DaCosta has apparently stopped on the circuit, but I can't see him on the driver tracker in a stopped position. Cassidy's second sector now goes purple as well with a 22.858. So this is going strong. Turn 3, we've got a problem there. Yeah, I see it. That's straight on then down to the first corner. So Da Costa has locked up and gone straight on at the first corner. Now, will this bring out the red flag as Evans goes into second? There's no local yellows or anything out there. Can't see him down there. There's a white flag out down at turn 3. Still nothing on the overall delta, so if Da Costa's out of the session, then that's huge news for Porsche, as they are red flag's out. Okay, so whatever's happened, I reckon we've got a red car, because for Da Costa to just stop like that, then it must be a red car situation if we need the red flag out. And the recovery vehicle's gone out as well, apparently. There's Da Costa. He's getting out of the car, and he's backwards at turn 3. Now, how on earth has that happened? Has he pulled off at the exit of the pit lane, actually? Where is he? It's hard to tell. It's Mortara goes top, but the red flag was out to stop the session. So Mortara takes the overall time. Da Costa's car is freewheeling back down the pit lane. It's like he's come out the pit exit here, and the car's just ground to a halt. So, no, he's going through. This is the beginning of the... Let's listen in. It's like he hit a bump. Here we go again then.
Did you have any contact, or was it just on the brakes happening?
No, as soon as I touched the brake,
okay,
it broke.
Yeah, we can damage the gearbox, so we need to stop.
Oh. Okay, so, yeah, a damaged gearbox then. Okay, well in that case, let's head to the battle screen and head down to our world feed commentators as the red flag is out and the session is suspended. Shouldn't be too long, but they need to push that car back in.
The fast lap time, somebody else hasn't yet.
This is clever thinking here for Da Costa, because he's done the investigation for causing the red flag, but he's wheeling the car back into the pit lane, which I think is actually quite a sensible thing to do, to clear the track quite quickly. But also, he's thinking, I'm going to give my mechanics more time before the race. So they've got, if they had to wait to the end of qualifying, they'd be sitting there waiting for another, over an hour and 10 minutes or something. So he's bought them time to fix it.
So he pirouettes it round, and he's already had the message on the team radio to say you need to stop, pulls it over to the exit of pit lane. And unfortunately for Da Costa, that will be a session done. His lap time will be deleted as well for causing that red flag. So it's going to be back of the grid then this afternoon for the final E3 of the season for Tag Heuer Porsche, which is not what that team needs in their constructors' battles in the teams and the manufacturers' championships.
Yeah, still an opportunity to do something different on strategy, though.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Session will restart 12:31 local time, so we've got a minute and a half until we get the session back underway. So not a lot of time for the teams that are now back in the garage to do anything to the cars. They'll be going straight out, and you can imagine it is going to be pretty congested out there on the circuit. Try and set a quick lap time with only 4 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock.
Looks like he's allowed to go back out if they can fix it, because he's keeping his helmet on, isn't he? So at least they think he can go back out.
Yeah, well, there's an opportunity there if they can get it fixed. And he's had his lap time deleted. That's customary in the regulations, but they're just trying to work out what the problem is at the moment.
Yeah, I'd like to see the side of the tyre to see if there's any witness marks, because about 4 or 5 corners before he pulled up, it looked like he stepped sideways at the apex where you really hugged the wall.
Please don't plug in. If it's going to be fast, let's go first on track. I just want to be first on track.
So Cassidy wants track position then here, quite clearly, to make sure that he doesn't get balked behind another driver when he's on a flyer. Cassidy has set a quick lap time.
Feels terrible. The rear scrub is terrible.
Evans.
Okay. Copy. Like I'm drunk.
Well, I'll leave that down to your interpretation.
It is.
But Evans not happy with the tyres then, quite clearly. So green light's about to come on at the end of pit lane. The session will resume with 4.5 minutes.
Green flag goes back out. We are underway once more here in the XL Centre London, Mortara from Cassidy, De Vries, Evans. They're your top four, but we do have lap time deleted for Da Costa, so that's going to keep him in 6th. Then it's Maloney in 5th now, Frein 7th, Roland 8th, Muller 9th, Bird 10th, Dennis in 11th. As we will go through once more here for all of the action from the London E-Prix. Fingers crossed it's going to be a smooth end to the session. Megan's just a touch bit worried that she would miss the Formula One start. I have tried to assure her that she will not, as Da Costa now has dropped down to 11th position and has had fully his lap time deleted from this session. So that will now mean he has to do another run. He could mathematically go back out, but again, we're not too sure on the regulation. If it's a red flag, you're not allowed to restart, or it's a red flag, you can restart, which way round it will be. So big heavy hitters though in this one as well. Roland still coming in as Cassidy comes across the line. Evans is just behind him as they come under the braking zone now, in towards turn number 1. Back on the power traction, still flying high. You can just tell how much he's having to adjust the inside curves. Downhill again for Cassidy. Again, hooking up the inside line. A little bit of a twitch as we go on board with Evans. Yeah, it's not looking so bad now. He'll keep flying out there on the traction. Cassidy now just down a couple of tenths as well. 0.2 of a second, that sector time as it comes through turn 16, through 17 and 18 underneath the extended part of the XL Centre. Up the hill now, back into the original infield where the paddock complex is and the start line. Up towards it. Can Cassidy improve on Mortara's time? He's nearly in the barrier over the line. He's 2.22 away. Evans goes 3rd, 0.3 down. Roland's still in 7th position at the moment. He comes across the line, improves up into 6th position, but it's Muller who goes in 4th. Dennis goes in 6th position. De Vries looking strong as well as Da Costa, according to our driver track, is still out there on the second. But look at Mortara, first sector down. That belongs to his teammate De Vries. Mortara, though, fastest second sector. De Vries goes into second. It's a 1-2 for Mahindra on a circuit which we didn't expect them to be in. This is fantastic news. And Mortara, he's backed out of his lap time. So it's a 1:08.583. That's the benchmark as well for Mortara, from De Vries, Cassidy, Evans, Muller, outside Jules and Dennis, Freins, Bird, Maloney, Roland and Da Costa with 1:30 to go on the clock. So this is now going to get a bit feisty, as it was a technical problem for Da Costa that cannot be resolved. He will not go back out onto the circuit. That's unfortunate for him, as he is done for the day. He will start the last race of the season in 22nd position. This is Cassidy through the chicane, jumps over the sausage curb. The tyres taking a complete whack around there. That's unbelievable. Sorry about that, as it comes through. Cassidy still now on one more lap. He's 3rd fastest. So we're going to have, big snap coming out of 3. So we're going to have 2 of the Mahindras and 2 Jaguars go through. Out will go 2 of the Andrettis, 1 Envision, 1 McLaren, 1 Lola, 1 Nissan, and 1 Porsche will go out as well. Still the top 6 2x2x2. Quite entertaining to see. Cassidy right up towards the line. Roland's got the fastest first sector of anybody though so far. Watch out for his lap time as they come through. Cassidy still having a little bit of gumption as he comes through. Up the hill into the penultimate corner. Turn 19, hugs the inside line. Back into the kink at 20. Boot it hard. Full electrical power down. Does Cassidy improve to 2nd place only? Evans just behind him. 2nd fastest. Over the line comes Roland. 5th fastest. He doesn't get through. Dennis is on a better lap time. Muller stays 6th. I don't think Dennis will improve either. 7 tenths down. Frines goes into 6th position, and that's to be expected. Bird's not improving. I don't think Maloney or DaCosta will either. So them's the breaks, and that's the end of the game for this first session, as De Vries will just make it through and improve up into 2nd place. Mortara, fastest in the first sector, doesn't need to do much. It's a 1:08.583. Mortara, De Vries, Evans and Cassidy go through. Out goes Roland, Frines, Muller, Dennis, Bird, Maloney and DaCosta. 2 by 2 go through. Let's head back down to the world feed then on the international pits to get ready for Group B and Megan Burge to take over my seat in the commentary box.
With that, Nissan have looked to see at a critical juncture in their championship weekend here, and unfortunately it is not proving to be particularly a happy one for him so far, or indeed for the team. We'll see what Norman Nato can do. He was the quickest of the Nissan powered cars in free practice 3 this morning. He'll be out in Group B in a few moments' time. Team radio.
Nice, what up, mate, what up, mate, what up, mate, what on, top job. In lap, keep tyres up.
So asking to keep the temperature of the tyres up on the in-lap there for Eder Mortara, and he'll be out in the dual stages of qualifying a little bit later on. But the 2 Mahindras and the 2 Jaguars progress forwards from Group A. Group B will be on the way in a few moments' time. So what else can we work out from that session? Well, the 2 Nissan powered cars that were out on track, Oliver Rowland and Sam Bird, both failed to get through. Andretti looking like they're struggling, both Nico Muller and Jake Dennis not having the pace either. And David, we mentioned it quite a few times yesterday and today, this track is really tricky to overtake. Qualifying is critical.
It is indeed, but as we saw yesterday, then we had a couple of safety car interventions because of incidents.
I missed a bit of braking in 10 because I locked up.
I didn't hear which turn that was, but it looked like middle sector he dropped some time, turn 10. So, yeah, he's disappointed with that, but if anyone has the management skills in what is a different way of going racing today without the pit boost, then it's not all lost. And you can also just reflect back a week on that World Championship that he picked up. So it's just tight, isn't it? It's just incredibly close.
Yeah, very, very fine margins. 2 100ths of a second was the initial time. That extended up to 3 100ths of a second at the end of that, following the improvements that we saw from the top 4 that made it through. So yeah, very, very fine margins, stopping Oliver Rowland making it through, and a mistake down at turn 10. That's the Custom House chicane, which ultimately cost him the opportunity to get into the duels here in London. Well, disappointment then for Oliver Rowland, likewise for the 2 Andrettis here, but also delight on the other side of the coin for both of the Jaguars and both of the Mahindra drivers. And we're keen to see what they're going to be able to do come the duels. Let's get confirmation of the classification from Group A. So Mortara and De Vries make it through, likewise Evans and Cassidy. Sadly, we say goodbye to Rowland, to Freitz, to Muller, Dennis, Sam Bird, Zane Maloney and Antonio Vince DaCosta, of course, with the technical problem, bringing a red flag out with just under 5 minutes left of that session. His fastest lap time was deleted. He'll be starting at the very back of the grid at best here this afternoon, which is a huge shame for the Portuguese driver and a big shame for Tankoy Porsche as well. Sadly, we also lost 3 of the British drivers out of the 6 that are on the grid here this weekend. Hopefully they'll fare a little bit better in Group B in a few moments' time as well. Sun shines over the XL Centre in London, and the second qualifying session on the way in a couple of moments. So then, Group B on the way in a couple of moments' time. We're going to see Pascal Wehrlein out in that one. He was on the podium for Tag Heuer Porsche yesterday, and I was down talking to Formula E CEO Jeff Dodds last night. He reckons that Wehrlein is his hot tip for a victory. Let's guide you through, though, the 11 drivers who will be out on track for this one. So Wehrlein, Barnard, Verne, Ticktum, Gunter, Buemi, Van Dorn, Jake Hughes, who missed any running in FP3 this morning with an electrical problem. They stuck a new battery in that car, and hopefully he'll be ready to go. De Grassi, Norman Nato, and David Beckman. So 11 drivers about to filter out on track for the second of the group qualifying sessions. And team radio for Evans.
Time feels horrendous. So I've already done the PRS at last corner, but I think I'm with the tyre. I don't know what's going on. It's got no grip.
What do you think it could be down to, Karun? Is that something to do with the balance of the car? Is it just to do with the tyre itself?
It seems to suggest that there's something wrong with the set of tyres. That, you know, we heard him talking about it earlier as well, about the rear tyres on this particular set. He's clearly not a happy bunny. I mean, the good news is when you get to the duels, they typically cycle through, you know, the other set and go back and forth. So we'll see when he puts the other. That's when you get the answer, right? You put another set of tyres.
Yeah, so just put on the other set of tyres and see what could happen next as well, as I'm getting a lovely face of JT here up in the commentary box as well on the talkback camera. TikTok. I think it's pretty critical.
Bring the temps as high as we can.
It's critical to do these fast with the temps as high as we can on that run as well. As much as I like seeing JT on cameras as well, being in 43-inch HD television picture screen is a bit frightening. To give me a bit of a jump scare up here in the commentary box. Megan will be on her way shortly as well. Ah, my goodness me, he's gone right up to the camera lens there in order to do that. In fact, she's here now actually as well to take over for me as the drivers head out onto the track now as well. So let's go to battle screen, and I will leave Megan in charge of this one as well, with the second session underway. Simple thing. JT can tell Megan when she can talk and when she can't talk. You can also text each other. So I'm going to get out of the way. Megan's going to take a seat, and I'll hand the heads over to her.
Colourful characters, you know, but he's got speed, he's got commitment. He was maybe a bit overcommitted when he crashed out yesterday, but they've definitely been one of the most improved teams.
Yeah, no doubt about it for Cooper Kiro, and we'll see what Dan Ticktum's going to be able to do in this session. His teammate David Beckman also out in this one as well. You can see Pascal Verline.
Hello, and I cannot see. There we go. And that was a little bit of a shaky camera angle there for TNT. What's going on with them? Right. I've got to put this into the right position, otherwise I can't hear anything. So, is this Group B underway? Who is actually in Group B? Let's check. Because unlike Joshua, I need timing screens. Right, so, NATO, gone for Verline, Degrassi, Vern, Barnard, Ticktum, Buemi, Van Dorn, Jesus, it's changing all the time, Hughes and Beckman. I think I've got all 11 of them in there, but they're moving at a consistent basis. Also, I don't know what's wrong with this, but, oh, that is Barnard. Why am I looking right up there when it's literally right there? I don't know what his radio is saying. It's not coming through. Actually, I'm getting 0. Hold on. I am changing where this is because I'm getting 0 sound. How is Joshua getting sound out of this? We need new headphones. Oh. Apparently grabbing hold of it does something, so I'm just not going to move from this position at all. Right, so, the times. Currently in first is NATO with a 1 at 13.656. We've gone through in second with a 1:14.76. So NATO is currently a second faster than everyone else. And my green screen is not working. JT, so go on to the battle screen for now because I don't know what's up with this. Was Joshua's working? No. No, his was not working. So, we're a lack of a green screen right now. And it's, okay, this is driving me to insanity. Okay. I hate this headset. Sorry for anyone getting frustrated. But I am too. Okay. I don't know what Joshua just said completely, but... Right, so... Currently looking at, I believe that is... both Van Dorn and Hughes going round the track. I believe one of them's getting a toe from the other. So... That's quite helpful. I think right now we're looking at Hughes, however. I really, really hate this headset. How has it gotten worse? It was never this bad before. Oh, and that's another.
Okay, so still 21 seconds clear to end of the queue. Prepare and launch your lap.
That was the last. If I stay like this, it will actually behave. I look like I'm still alive. I hate this headset. Really, really hate it. Right, so Hughes remains being top with a 112.432. Hold on, maybe if I put it behind me. That does nothing. This should just be 45 minutes, I'm assuming that's how long's left of me being visibly frustrated. Right, so Vern has managed to take top position, as well as his teammate Gunther has managed to take second position. Vern has a 108.959, so reached the 08. I don't know whether they've done that in the previous group, though very good job for Vern. And as I say that, Van Dorn goes top with a 108.728. I wonder if anyone can hit the 107s. That would be quite an interesting thing for them to do. NATO is currently on a green sectors 1 and 2. He was on a purple sector 2, but that got taken away from him by, I believe, Buemi. And it's, what's this a replay of? This is a replay of NATO. Oh, at least it said it was NATO. Hitting the curves just a little bit too much around one of the corners. That probably explains why he has lost a little bit of time compared to before. Buemi doing a purple sector 1 and a green sector 2, goes second with a 108.916. Currently on board with Tictum, doing a green sectors 1 and 2. I think he'll go about third, to be honest. I'm not sure though. It hasn't come up on my screen yet. Verline currently in 10th, does a purple sectors 2 and 3 and goes to the top of the board with a 108.640. Very good from him. Seems to be avoiding all of the curves, which honestly at this track I feel like it's very difficult to do. You're always hitting at least one of them, all the wall. It just depends what you feel like today, whether you feel like crashing or whether you feel like losing a little bit of time. Usually about 2/10. Honestly, if we could just make the curves just that little bit smaller, like in height, I think we'd be okay. Genuinely. So I can't hear anything right now because of this. Do you know what this reminds me of? Does anyone remember, like, about 10 years ago, with, like, example, like, wireless headphones, and when you had, like, an iPad, an iPod or something like that, and you desperately, because you couldn't get more, would try every which way and back to actually get the sound to come on. That's what this reminds me of. It just does, which is, I'm so getting a new headset for, do you know what it could be I was going to say it should be a Christmas gift for Joshua, but now I'm just going to tell him to get a new headset before, because honestly this can't wait until Christmas. Right, so currently on board with Degrassi. Ooh, a little bit too close in the tunnel to that final wall. Really close on the exit. And I remember, almost went far too wide there, going around that really tight corner on, I think it's the last corner on the way to start-finish straight. But that corner, I seem to remember a year or two ago when I was covering London. I don't remember whether it was a race or whether it was qualifying, probably qualifying. Someone crashed into that, around that area. Do you know, it might have been the race. But currently, Tictum is top of the board with a 1:08.447 with Gunther in second with a 1:08.573, and Verline is in third with a 1:08.587. Van Dorn is fourth with a 1:08.728. Those are the ones currently through to the duels, but with about a minute left on the clock, minute and a half, based on that screen, I would say that is a little bit likely to change. I can no longer see my timing screens because of an advert. So, given how everyone is seeming to improve at least slightly, I think that might change. I think Ticton's safely through to the duels, as well as Gunther, but I don't think any of the others are. And Vern is currently on the radio. I cannot hear. Is this connected right? Joshua, if you're listening, not JT, obviously, the JB. New headset, please. Why, when I'm aggressive with this thing, does it work? Because I'm currently holding it, trying to see if it's trying to get any sound to it. But no, I can hear myself. But that's not helpful to me. That's because I didn't enable it because you were talking. Oh. This works. Though, honestly, these headsets they've always given me trouble. I think maybe it was dropped or something. Probably. Or pulled. Right, so currently top is Ticton still remaining, but currently on board with Degrassi, who's currently in 11th position. He really needs to get a move on. So his Sector 1 was not great, and the checkered flag has now come out. Does a green Sector 2, but I do not think that will be enough. I think the most he would be able to go is probably about 7th, and even that I feel is pushing it just that little bit too much. Van Dorn on a slow lap, he's fine, he's in 4th. Hughes, Van Dorn's teammate, I believe, is not doing well, or he's not improving. So he is not through. Degrassi goes 10th. Only doing a 1:09.3. Is that 8.7? Yes, 8.7. That is a worrying time. That is a worrying time for Degrassi. Actually, I wonder if he has any problems with his car. But then again, all of the yellow cars I see on here, apart from Ticton obviously, seem to not be doing that great. I think yellow is only being happy for Ticton right now. Right, so I'm going to read out the times quick before they disappear off my screen. Ticton is first with a 1:08.447. Gunther is second with a 1:08.573. Verline is third with a 1:08.587. Van Dorn is fourth with 1:08.728. NATO is fifth. Barnard is sixth. Seventh is Vern. Buemi is eighth. Ninth is Hughes. Degrassi is in 10th. And Beckman is in 11th. Beckman not having a great time of it. He was last time I covered a qualifying session. He was having a decent time of it. But this time, not so much. And I'm glad I read them out when I did, because they've just disappeared off of that screen. I haven't disappeared off that screen, which is very weird, actually. Because last time I covered, like, Formula E, they were disappearing like a minute before they were actually finished, and I do not know why. Right, in a minute I will pass over, but not just yet. And everyone's coming back into the pit lane now. I think everyone's now finally in, so it's about time for me to pass over temporarily, I think, to TNT whilst we wait for the duels to happen.
But yeah, it'll be a shame for Sam because his qualifying's not gone well so far.
No, it's not been a particularly happy hunting ground here for Neil McLaren in their home race. It is pretty happy though for one Briton, Dan Ticton. Max Günther and Stoffel Van Dorn also make it through, as well as Pascal Verline. They're your four that progress forwards from Group B. We say goodbye to Norman Nato, Barnard, Jono Verne, who was struggling with the balance of the DS Penske. Likewise, the Sebastian Buemi. Jake Hughes missed running this morning in FP3. 3, and he concludes the session in 9th place. De Grassi, as we saw, the car was all over the place in that session. He was P10 at the checkered flag ahead of David Beckman in the second of the Cupra Kiros. I have to say, looking at the gap between the two Kiro teammates, that is quite a monumental gap, a second separating Tickton and Beckman's times.
Copy.
It's not good for Verline. We've seen quite a few punches here this weekend. A lot of drivers having to use their Joker tyre, as it was. They get a free tyre allowed as part of this. But yeah, one tyre down then for Pascal Verline, which might be why we didn't see any improvements for him at the end of that session. Either way, it was still enough for him to go forwards into the duels. This is Tickton throwing that car over the curbs into the custom house chicane. Way back into the pit box. He'll be going head-to-head with Stoffel Van Dorn in a few moments' time. In the quarterfinals, just to give you an idea of how it's all going to work out, we'll have Mitch Evans versus Nick de Vries, Nick Cassidy versus Edo Mortara, Pascal Verline and Maximilian Günther, Stoffel Van Dorn versus Dan Tickton. That is going to be a hugely exciting lineup to see what happens then as we get ourselves ready and primed for the dual stages for the final time in 2025 here in London.
Well, a brilliant start to qualifying for both the Mahindra and Jaguar cars there. Good to see one of the Porsche drivers through, Pascal Verline. Obviously, Antonio Felix da Costa is going to have a lot of work to do starting from the back of the grid. But let's talk about Dan Tickton. What a phenomenal lap there. Quickest in Group B. Looks like he's back on flying form. He qualified yesterday in P4 and he's in the duels, which just seems to be a place where he always does so well. He thrives under that pressure, doesn't he, Katie?
He does, and I think even in 350, he's performing better than he is in 300, so I think he did really well qualifying through the duels yesterday, and I think we'll see the same from him today. He just seems really confident. I think it's all about listening to his radio in practice, getting the tyres in the window with temperature, and he seems to be unlocking a lot of potential in the car today.
He did obviously make a few mistakes yesterday, you know, that error that he held his hands up to going into the back of Mitch Evans, then he crashed out into the wall. Do you think he will have learned from that, understood the track a little bit better, what the conditions are like, how hard to push, so he can use that today?
I think it was always quick. It was more racing situation errors and probably frustration, to be honest with you. And I think overnight you reset, you just go again, and it's a new opportunity. But we know he's quick. He was quick in free practice, and I think he'll be charging up there when it comes to the duels now.
Although he is going to have a 5-spot grid penalty today, obviously from the instance from yesterday. So he's in the duels, but inevitably he's going to be dropping back down the grid, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. So he really needs a pole position, basically, to qualify up there. And then, how unusual to not see one Nissan powertrain up in the duels. This track just doesn't suit their car, does it?
We saw it yesterday. And we looked at it yesterday, and we also saw the fact that the car is very difficult on the vertical bumps. It doesn't seem to absorb them. It can't get the power down quite as well as some of the competition. And if you looked at it, they were only hundreds from going through with Norman Nato and also with Oliver Rowland, but it's the wrong side of the hundreds. That's the issue that they've got.
They're going to be starting from the 5th row of the grid, I think, side by side. So a little bit of an improvement from yesterday. But realistically, you know, we've seen this isn't the easiest of track to overtake. There's no pit boost. So the strategy is going to really come into play with attack mode and how they use that to gain positions, Katie.
It is, and I think the team championship is what is on their mind. And they're not just looking forwards to Porsche to try and take that top spot. I think they've now got to look behind, because there's only 18 points to Jaguar behind, who have both got two of the best drivers and cars on the grid, I would argue, for today's race, both qualifying through to the duels. So I think they're going to be watching all around them and thinking, actually, we've really got to try and protect this position and damage limitation today.
Yeah, and I mean, how are they going to do that? Because, you know, we have seen, if it wasn't for, you know, maybe a strategic error with Mitch Evans yesterday and that incident with Dan Tickton, we could have seen two Jaguars on the podium yesterday. There is no reason why we can't today.
You can only control yourself. You cannot control the competition. All Nissan should do now is focus on maximising the points for their own team. What will be with regard to Porsche and also with regard to Jaguar as well. They've just got to focus on themselves.
Can we quickly touch upon what happened with Antonio Felix da Costa there? So he was it a gearbox issue? What was the problem?
Honestly, don't know. He came out of the bottom corner here. The car kicked, big oversteer as we see. And actually, initially, I thought he had maybe touched the wall, but he hadn't. But breaking down into the first corner, the left rear seemed to lock up. You can see the steering wheel, all the lights as in a rear lock. And then they said, look, stop, because it will damage the gearbox. So it could be something with the drive shafts, or I'm honestly not sure. However, not good.
So potentially something that is going to affect the race.
Well, potentially something that's going to affect the race, because he's going to start at the back. So
Yeah.
that's the first point. Second point is that what actually is the source of the problem, and whether he then has to take a penalty if it is one of the parts that's restricted on numbers, that if you change it, then you take a 10 or a 20 place grid penalty.
Well, let's find out how Antonio Felix Costa is feeling and reflects upon that session. He's with Saunders.
Antonio Felix Costa, a disappointing end to the final qualifying session of the season. What can you tell us?
Yeah, pressed the brake pedal for my first push lap, and heard a massive bang in the car, and looks like something broke in the front drive shaft. So yeah, I couldn't do a single lap there in quali. It's a shame. I don't know. Just can't seem to catch a break, man. It's and of all places to start last year is complicated to come through, but. We never give up. It's gonna be a long and hopefully a fun race.
Is it something that can be repaired, ready for the race, and what's possible on a circuit like this racing?
We have to see what it is. Actually, if it's just a drive shaft, then that's pretty easy. If it's the front FPK, it's a little bit more of a harder work for the boys, but I'm sure they can get it fixed for the race. And then the goal today for us is, as a team, the collective goal is to win those two championships, the teams and constructors, and we got to score points to do that, and so that's the goal for the race. But yeah, need to overtake 15 cars in a track that it's not so easy to do that. I have done it before, so I'll give it a good crack, but we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Antonio.
Really interesting to hear that insight from Antonio Felix Costa there. Can you translate some of the driver speak, though, for us, Alan?
FPK?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that
Front
one.
power unit. There's
Right,
two electrical
thank you.
motors, one on the back that drives the rear wheels, one on the front that regenerates but also then boosts to give it the four-wheel drive when they're in the 350 kilowatt. Sounds like when he's braking, then the torque has then damaged the drive shaft that goes to the front wheel, or alternatively it's damaged the motor itself. If it's a motor, that's a lot of time to change.
It's going to be such a challenging race for him then. And then we also heard, again, complaints from the Jaguar team. Mitch Evans complaining about heat in the tyres.
Yeah, he was basically complaining about the set of tyres that he was on. I think he thinks there's different performance advantages, so he was feeling like he already didn't think he would qualify through the duels. So it'll be really interesting to say. You were saying in commentary, I think or Karim was saying in commentary, that they're going to be switching the tyres between each session on the duels. So it might be that very visible to see, obviously, if he peaks in performance now and then was to drop back down.
This was the problem for Cassidy yesterday. Then he was in the first group and the tyres cooled down too much. He felt that he didn't have the performance in the second part.
Right, well, let's head down to Billy. What have you got for us at the E-pad?
Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, so we're going to reflect on our champion for this season, Oliver Rowland. The frustration that Nissan must be feeling right now after group qualifying must be quite a lot, because not only did Oliver Rowland finish 5th and just miss out on the duels for a weekend where they've been struggling and going for the team's championship, but on the other side of the garage, also Nato in Group B finished 5th in his group. So both of them frustrated. We're through the first sector of the lap now, and actually on this lap, Oliver Rowland was fastest in Group A through this part of the lap. So far, so good. This is where we cut the beam and we start Sector 2. And this is the part of the lap where Oliver Rowland lost 0.3 of a second in comparison to the other drivers. We've seen some moments over the curves. It actually looks fairly neat and tidy through 10, 11, 12, 13 here for Oliver Rowland. But I think the frustrations and maybe the confidence in the car over the bumps is something that we've seen Nissan struggling with. We just now, as we get into 16, where we have the attack mode on the outside, I just want to highlight just the direction of travel. You can see Oliver Rowland, he's just struggling with the oversteer on the front of the car. You can see how much steering lock he's got at the apex of 16. Not what he would have wanted, and I think this is where the lap time started to fall away for Oliver Rowland. Now we're coming into the final few corners. The tyres at this point are hot. You're struggling with the balance of the car, and I think again for Oliver Rowland, it's sort of started to fall away from him at this point. He only actually missed out on getting through into the duels by a matter of 0.03 of a second. So losing 0.3 in the middle part of the lap cost him a lot of time and cost Nissan the opportunity to get through into the duels. We're going to compare that now to the man who definitely got things right in the group stages of qualifying, Dan Ticktum. This is on board with his lap. He was the fastest out of both groups fastest in Group B in qualifying, and he had quite a margin over the rest of the field, just over a 1/10 of a second in comparison to the rest of the field. Really top job here from Dan Ticktum, and then interesting because I feel like the Cupra Kiro team this weekend, they haven't looked as good in the 300 kilowatt modes that we use in the group stages of qualifying. Normally, we see them come alive if they make it through into the duels, but Dan Ticktum here really dialed in with this car. He's a driver that's been growing in confidence, it's fair to say, this season. Moving forward into the duels, it'll be interesting to see what he can do, but equally Dan Ticktum is going to contribute to the manufacturers, and and right now he's in a good stage in qualifying. He's starting high up the order. Going into the duels, what can he do with this car, with the Cupra Kiro team, contributing, like I say, with Porsche to the manufacturers? He has got a 5-place grid penalty for the race, so for me, he needs to secure that pole position to keep himself in contention to fight for the podium in the race.
Lovely stuff. Thank you, Billy. Now, of course, there is going to be one driver who might stand his way. Eduardo Mortara. I mean, that was a phenomenal lap. You predicted it, though. Well done. Can you give me the lottery numbers for the weekend as well?
Yeah, Edo, I think the Mahindra's good round here. We saw that with Nick de Vries yesterday, and Edo is super quick and he's very good on this style of circuit. So it's not a surprise for me that he was competitive. This is from yesterday in racing, and he was right up there pushing his way through. He's a very aggressive driver. That's the thing about Edo Mortara. So if you do get him onto the front row, I'll tell you what, he's going to be super difficult to beat.
So this is it then. Final pole position predictions of the season. Who's it going to be?
Edo Mortara. I've said it.
We're just checking.
I'm going to go for a Jag. I think Cassidy, because Mitch isn't happy with his tyres, so I'd say that today.
All right, so find out, is it going to be a Mitch Evans, Nick Cassidy or Eduardo Mortara in pole position, or will one of the other drivers get in the mix? It is time for our final duels and qualifying here at the London XL.
Right, so first up in the duels will be Evans versus de Vries, and the second set of duels will be Cassidy versus Mortara. Oh, teammates against teammates. And then in the third it will be Verline versus Gunther, and then in the fourth it will be Van Dorn versus Ticktum. And in the first and second, there's one teammate from two different teams fighting each other. I find that quite funny. Very good day for both of those teams as well. About to head up to the first duel now. 6% chance, apparently, according to the prediction vote, that Evans will win against de Vries. I'd take that bet, to be honest. Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree that it's probable that Evans will win. But, you know what? Now that I'm saying that, the Blight will probably just be like, oh, de Vries gets to win this one. Because that's usually the way things go about. You gotta only lap at it though. Right, so that is Evans making his way out onto the track first. Now the first and second corner. Keeps it nice and steady. De Vries is now on his way. A little bit too close. Ooh. A little bit too close to the wall there. Getting a lot of bumps there around the first corner. Not the greatest start he would want, but went well into that second corner. So, decent. Porsche right now on 244 points, with Nissan on 207, and Jaguar on 191. So, I don't know whether the constructors has been crowned yet, but I'm assuming due to that, no. Also, that is de Vries locking up around one of the corners. Yeah, he is hitting so many bumps. So it has not been crowned. So far, they look quite good with it. But as I'm saying that, de Vries, it's not looking very promising on this warm-up lap. Though, as I say, it is only a warm-up lap, so he might find smoother surfaces and more time when it comes to the shootout. As it starts now, as de Vries is about to cross the line in about 3, 2, 1, and I think he's going to cross the line now? Yeah, he crosses the line now. So, okay, so what's around this first sector we're going to get from de Vries? His first few corners seem relatively good. Going into the tunnel, however, little bit of a bump there. So Evans is currently ahead by, oh, that would be in.
And just.
You just heard an Evans radio, I think, I'm not sure. But currently ahead is Evans by 0.03 of a second. That has gone down to about 2:20 tenths, and I know that's a very weird way of saying it. I realised that as I was saying it. But can De Vries make up any time in the final sector? I don't think he will be able to. He's hitting far too many bumps. He makes up time, though he is 38 thousandths of a second too slow, and Evans wins the first set of duels. Very good from Mitch Evans there. De Vries struggling way too much with those bumps around the first sector. I think if he hadn't have come into that so often and then done that lock-up around one of the corners, he would have beaten Evans.
For Mitch.
Second duel is about to get underway in a moment's time. That will be Cassidy versus Mortara. And it's 70% say that Cassidy will win. I'm going to go for Mortara. Just because I think his team need a win. Especially after what happened just then with De Vries. Right, so Cassidy's first out on the track. They've done their warm-up now. And it's, oh, lock up there for Mortara. And he's stopped on the track. Well, he's not winning. I take it back. Can he get underway again, though? I'm not sure. That's Cassidy hitting the curves way too much. I think he thinks, since Mortara's stalled a lot, 13 seconds behind. Well, Mortara's not winning this. Cassidy wins the second duel. I don't even have to wait to the end to tell you that. No one's making up 13 seconds. Now 18 seconds in this. No one is. It's impossible. I think, though, Mortara has got going. So Cassidy crosses the line with a 107.130. And it's, well, I suppose we'll have to wait about 18 seconds for Mortara to cross the line. See what he gets. And is he still in sector 2? No, he's in sector 3 now, thank goodness. Right, Mortara. Let's see what happened with Mortara. So going down the straight and
Technical.
Just locks up way too much, and it goes kind of off into the runoff area, but he didn't really go off the track. He went onto that red part of the runoff area, and he finished with a 158. That is quite a difference. So, Verline versus Gunther next. The vote says that Verline will win. Well, it's been right twice in a row, so I'm inclined to believe it now. But now that I say I'll believe it, it's not going to be that way. But then again, last time I did a qualifying session, Verline did win. Yeah, he did. I have to confirm it in my brain. Right, so currently looking at Verline. I think he's first out on to the track. I think he's coming up to the final part of his warm-up lap. Ooh, little bit of a twitch there for Gunther as he was coming out of the tunnel section. Or one of them. Best keep an eye on that. His tyres definitely need a lot more warming up. Maybe we should do like 2 laps or something. Cassidy currently looking at...
Hot as possible, guys. Well done. What was Mitch's time?
7.5, you're 7.1. Oh, good luck, mate. Good luck.
Are you confused? I'm confused as well. What just happened? Okay, so for some reason, TNT have decided to, during the warm-up lap, play a message from 2 duels ago and show a screen of that. Why? Why? What was going on? I don't know. So, why does this feel so badly produced? Not you, JT, but from TNT's pictures. Who's in charge of their pictures? Like, who's controlling what goes on their screen? Like, why is the radio messages being played from 2 joules ago, and why are they split screening it? I'm not too mad about the split screening though. Gunther is currently ahead by at least a 1/10 of a second to Verline. See, I told you the vote would play us at some point. So Verline keeps hitting the curves, and that is losing him a lot of time. Whereas Gunther seems to be staying quite central in the track and managing to avoid that. So seeing them both go around those sectors. Have they already finished and they're just playing the same things? Because that's what I'm seeing. Ooh, almost went right into the wall there, Verline did. So currently 2.5 tenths up on Verline's current time. Gunther is set to win. So Verline manages to make up at least a 1/10 of a second to Gunther. And Gunther wins. I told you he'd win. Gunther wins that duel. And because of everything being so haywire, I actually don't know what he won by. Well, I know how many 1/10 of a second he won by, but I don't know the exact time. Actually, I can just go back. He won by 1:07.316. I feel like every single time I'm doing a commentary and I believe it's just chaotic, which honestly, that fits my personality. So. Oh well. Van Dorn versus Tipton is currently the final duel before we go into the semi-finals? Yes, semi-finals. So Tipton is predicted to win. I can see it. I can see why Tipton would win. But given the fact that they predicted very highly for Verline to win last time out, I'm gonna hold my predictions on that one. So Van Dorn is first out on to the track with Tipton coming out into the second. And I think Tipton's about to start the gap happening between the two of them. They both started on their how would you say it? 1 lap shootout? Tipton seems to be doing increasingly well. He's 2.5 tenths of a second now, as it's just changed as I was saying my words, ahead of Van Dorn. Do you know what? The predictor thing might be right. Van Dorn is hitting so many bumps right now. I'm pretty sure he would have flown through the air right now if that car wasn't so heavy. So 3.5 tenths up on Van Dorn's current time. Tipton is set to win the final duel between him and Van Dorn. Sorry, Van Dorn. But going up to the start-finish straight now, and Tipton wins the duel between him and Van Dorn. He does a 1:07.021, so close to the 1:06s. And Van Dorn does a 1:07.990. Jeez, that's quite a gap between the two of them. I mean, it's certainly not as much as the second duel was. But seriously, is Van Dorn okay? I feel like this is a very bumpy track. I feel like it needs to be resurfaced. I wonder if it has been resurfaced recently. It seems like a track that needs more work on it, but to be honest. I do not understand why everyone is coming up against so many bumps on the track, and that's Tipton. I don't think this is a replay. No, this is just him.
Yeah, you're in. Done it, good job. Yeah. 1 second gap.
Yeah, and he was...
This is just him heading out into the pit lane. So, those are the quarterfinals done. Next up are the semi-finals. As Tipton heads back into the pit lane, so preparations for the semi-finals can get underway. Oh, he's going to the weighbridge. Is he actually going to go on the weighbridge though? Because he stopped kind of short of it. Unless that's how they do that. I never look when it happens. I think they do have to stop, yeah. Yeah, that's how they do it, okay. Right, so I'm going to pass over to TNT now while I wait for the semi-finals to begin. I hope it starts relatively quickly, though. So passing over to TNT now.
Cassidy's time as well, so does seem to have that car dialed in quite well at this stage.
Yeah, that's a big scalp for him.
Pascal Wehrlein, meanwhile, got to be disappointed with an elimination from the quarterfinals. It's a big shame for the German driver, given the fact that we know qualifying is particularly important. Dan Tickton with his second fastest lap of the weekend here as well. Yeah, something for him to smile about. We'll surely get the thoughts of Pascal Wehrlein in a few moments' time. I suppose the one consolation for him is that he was the quickest of the drivers, second quickest of the drivers that didn't make it through, wasn't he? So, yeah, shame there for Pascal Wehrlein. He wasn't quickest of the drivers that failed to press forward, so there we go. Something for him to smile about. Anyway, over to look at where we were for the quarterfinals. And you can see that Mitch Evans versus Nick de Vries up first of all. Evans presses forwards. Cassidy versus Mortara. And Jaguar stamping their authority as Cassidy out-qualified the Swiss driver. Brake-by-wire issue, unfortunately eliminating Mortara from that one. Günther in front of Pascal Wehrlein. And Van Dorn also being out-qualified by Dan Tickton. So not long to go until we get the semi-finals underway. Mitch Evans versus Nick Cassidy first of all, and then Maximilian Günther versus Dan Tickton. Keen to see how this one is going to work out. In terms of qualifying performances for Mitch Evans, well, he got it on pole here yesterday. He's had a further pole position this season when he was on pole in Berlin as well. Nick Cassidy, meanwhile, in the other Jaguar TCS racing machine. Only one pole position so far this year. That was in the wet race in Shanghai. If you remember that one, where he also took a lights flag victory in commanding style. Here he is inside the Jaguar garage. Bit of a bittersweet weekend this for him, because it is his final weekend at that team. Announced earlier this week that he will be on to pastures new for 2026.
That's why it was a sort of perfect in-the-bank send-off, getting that victory yesterday. And yeah, it's been, I think, a reasonably harmonious relationship there, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think there was a lot of disappointment last year when both drivers failed to get the driver's title when it was sort of within their fingertips, really. Unfortunately, it's never really got going this year until we got to Shanghai.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to spectacularly snatch defeat from the jaws of victory last year for both drivers. But, you know, it's been, in some way for Nick, he would have wanted to hope the season ended yesterday, really, because that would be a perfect fairy tale ending for him and James Barclay from that team. But here we go. This will be the last chance for them as teammates, of course, to be having this duel.
Yeah, we'll see how this is going to work out, because, of course, only one of them can go through from it. Will it be Mitch Evans or will it be Nick Cassidy's side of the garage that will be jumping for joy after the semi-finals? Max Günther versus Dan Tickton. That's a tricky one to call. Dan Tickton had the advantage in terms of lap times in the quarterfinals by about 0.3 of a second or so, but we know Max is pretty handy at pulling a lap time out of his back pocket when he needs to. He's had a couple of pole positions in 2025 already. Dan Tickton still yet to start at the sharp end of the grid.
Yeah, that time looked good, though. That confidence looked good, so today might be the day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. In terms of the Teams Championship as well, Jaguar, as we know, closing in on Nissan, now just 16 points separating those two teams for second in the standing. So 3 points that Jaguar could snatch from Nissan would be a very welcome result. Whatever happens, they will get a Jaguar into the finals, and we'll see how it's going to work out. But bringing that gap down from 16 to 13 wouldn't be doing any harm at all to the Jaguar team. As we look at the beautiful London skyline, there were a few spots of drizzle in the quarterfinals, but it doesn't seem to have caused any problems in the semi so far. So we know that a few drivers have not been able to make it through, including Eduardo Mortara with a brake-by-wire issue. Let's catch up with him.
Eduardo Mortara, a bit of a disappointing end to the quarterfinal running for you there. What can you tell us that happened?
Yeah, so we had a technical problem in turn 1. We lost the brakes. I don't know exactly what happened. So, yeah, we will have to investigate. It's a bit unfortunate because I think the team did a fantastic job this weekend. We're proving to be extremely competitive, and it's just a missed opportunity for us.
Something that can be rectified for the race?
Yeah, I think so. Not sure exactly what happened, so I can't tell you 100%, but yeah, obviously it's very unfortunate.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Yeah, big disappointment
Pascal
there.
Wehrlein, once again, a very competitive qualifying duels today. Quarterfinals the best on the cards for you today?
No, it was actually, there was more in it, but we suffered from a puncture on my last lap in the groups, and so we had to change tires to the practice tires, which were stone cold. So yeah, the lap was good, but yeah, obviously disappointed. The track somehow gives a lot of drivers punctures, and yeah, somehow it just happened now to us in the groups.
Limited damage though, being the only, or you and the Kiro being the 2 Porsche-powered cars into the duels, whilst the Nissans weren't able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the important part. We are still on target for what we want to do, but also, yeah, I want to achieve a good result, and I think, yeah, we missed a shot at the pole position today, that's for sure.
Thanks, Pascal.
Yeah, good to hear there for Pascal Wehrlein, trying to stay optimistic in the face of adversity. Unfortunately not making it through from the quarterfinals, but he was the quickest of the drivers who didn't progress forwards. Over then to the semi-finals, first of them coming up, and looking forward to seeing how this one is going to work out, because it's a Jaguar showdown. Mitch Evans.
Right, so, hold on. Getting back on to this. Right, so, semi-finals up now with Evans versus Cassidy being the first to go around the track. They are just waiting in the fast lane right now. Are they gonna start going? I mean, it's 28 minutes past. They're meant to, yeah, there we go. They finally got going. So, that is Evans first out on the track. Wait a minute. I've just realised. They put teammates against each other now. Why, it's just a teammate type of day. Is it teammates? They have different car colours, but they have the same colour on here. I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, I'm confident they are. They have to be. My brain is not fully computing things today because I have not had coffee today. So, forgive me with that. And I hear Joshua outside. See, he's finally gotten his way and getting to go outside. Right, so, just talk. I'm just filling time with their warm-up lap. They both seem to be doing quite well with their warm-up laps, which honestly does not surprise me. They both seem to be avoiding the majority of the aggressive bumps that go on around the track and avoiding any of the major curbs. And obviously the wall. Right, so Evans has crossed the line, so he's about to start his final shootout type of lap. I generally don't know what to call it. Is one big lap? I like the term shootout lap. Yeah, I like that better. Right, so finally Cassidy has crossed the line, and why does it look like Cassidy's actually quicker in the first sector than Evans was? So Cassidy might win this one going to the final. I'm going to put my bet on that now. But now that I say that, Evans is probably going to do really well and Cassidy's probably going to win it. Then again, right now he's about a 10th ahead of Evans's time. Looking promising, looking promising. Got up to a 10.5 gap between them right now. Ooh, hit the curves a bit too much around. I want to say it's an area that's quite similar to a bus stop, like what we have in Spa right now with F1, but he's lost a little bit of time. Oh, Cassidy! I don't know what that was. I think it might have been a lock-up or something. Something happened. He briefly stopped, so he's lost a lot of time about that. He's lost a 1.5 seconds. I told you. Oh my god, I commentated cursed him. I said that would happen. And it happened. I'm so sorry, Cassidy. Maybe Evans will do the exact same thing. I think he has. Because Cassidy is suddenly ahead by at least 0.5 of a second. So somehow, Cassidy has won the duels between the two of them. I don't know how. Evans must have done the exact same thing. Is there something down in that sector, I wonder? That caused them both to do that. So Cassidy won by a 108.791 and Evans lost by a 109.305. And Mum, that is literally on the screen. You'll have to wait. It's too busy house. Right, so the next duels is underway between Gunther and Tickton. Well, it's about to get underway. On here, it shows it underway, but for some reason, this is always about 10 seconds ahead of that. So, Gunther versus Tickton right now. I think they're coming up to the end of their warm-up laps. And it's... Gunther seems to be a little bit faster than Tickton is in that first sector, so maybe this won't be Tickton's day. I mean, he has been looking quite... Oh, as I say, that he literally goes ahead by 1/10. What is up with Tickton lately? Tickton is just so far ahead of so many people. Is it something he's eating for breakfast? I generally don't know. He seems more on it than he was last year. Right, so currently ahead of Gunther by... It was a 10.5, but it's gone down by about 0.03 of a second because Gunther's gained some time in the final sector. So... And I'm hearing a lot of beeping from this. I just ignore it now. Right, so Tickton manages in the final sector to get ahead by a further 10.5. So he's got ahead by an overall of 2.5 attempts to Gunther. And Tickton finishes with a 107.037 and Gunther finishes with a 107.331. Quite close in times, but about 0.3 of a difference between the two of them. So that is the semi-finals done. Honestly, I reckon if they did this all within like 5 minutes, well, less than 5 minutes of each other, like between both the sessions, you could probably get the duels done in like half an hour. Honestly, maybe less. Probably 15 minutes. Actually, yeah, probably 10 minutes. 15 for timing. Honestly, I don't understand why we have to wait so long. We're supposed to getting everything ready. So I'm just impatient. I'm a very impatient person. But when I need to be, I am patient. I'm confusing and chaotic. Right, so the final duel will start. The final duel will start in about 8 minutes. Why? What happens? What's 8 minutes difference? I'm seeing words from Evans right now on the screen. I cannot be bothered to read it.
Yeah, good job, mate. I know it's not what we want to do, but yeah, we've done the right thing for the team.
Yeah, team.
I love how my life goes sometimes because I said I couldn't be bothered to read it, and then I hear it through my radio. Well, not radio, headset. That I hear the radio through the headset. Obviously, I needed to. Honestly, anyway, I will pass over to TNT right now. As Cassidy's radio goes on. So
my mistake.
You're full, mate. You're full, mate. You're full.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
You're full.
Oh, man.
Anyway. All right, okay, so just see if you can get 3 points if you want. Yeah.
Well, Nick will definitely be sending Mitch a Christmas card and maybe a bottle or something.
I think you'll be buying beers for the whole team after that effort, because great team play then from the Jaguar TCS Racing outfit. Velo, meanwhile, will be starting P4 on the grid for the E-Prix this afternoon. Don't forget, of course, Tickton has still got this 5-place grid penalty to contend with, so whatever happens here, it will be Cassidy will be on pole position. But if Tickton qualifies on pole, gets the fastest time, he'll still get the 3 points, he'll still get the pole position award. Yeah, that's how. So he's still awarded the pole position, he just doesn't start from there.
Yeah, so, but crucially for this conversation we're having around Cassidy catching the line of points, Ticton will end up with the 3 points if he does. So actually, Cassidy's going to start on pole either way. Cassidy will start the E-Prix on pole position.
Absolutely, yeah. Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, we know what's going to happen in terms of who'll be at the head of the grid. Let's work out, though, how we got here for the finals coming up in a few moments' time. So we had Evans versus De Vries. We had Cassidy versus Mortara. 2 Jaguars out qualifying, both Mahindras. Verline versus Gunther. Gunther was the better of the 2 there, surprisingly, given the performance of Verline this weekend. And then Van Dorn out-qualified by Dan Ticton. Cassidy got the better of Evans with some team gamesmanship going on in the semi-finals. And Ticton trounced Gunther as well. So final time along the way in a couple of moments. Listen here to Mitch Evans.
Am I just open about it or not?
Just working out what the best strategy is to say in front of the media. Is he going to be quite open about it, or does he have to be quite closed, and so on and so forth? We'll hear from him, I'm sure, in a few minutes' time.
There's Saunders, our own Jeremy Paxman. He's going to get really stuck in.
Roving reporter. Surprised he's got much of a voice left. He was at the Oasis gig last night.
Saunders?
Yeah.
Obviously, he was sort of swaggering a little bit.
You see the bucket hat and the parka that walking in.
I know. Still in character. Brilliant concert. I saw him in Manchester. Booked that one because I thought if they're going to fall out, they'll do it after their home gig.
Good tactics there. Well, all part of the master plan going well for Jaguar so far, because they will line up at the head of the grid, whatever happens with that 5-place penalty for Dan Ticton.
They're going to have first and third on the grid, aren't they? Because you'll have Gunther second.
Clean side of the grid as well, crucially, down towards that first turn. So maybe a little bit more grip on the racing line with the rubber that's been put down this weekend.
How frustrating is that for the team? You know, that penalty. It just shows why everything matters all the time, otherwise it impacts the next day.
I know, it's a shame for Dan Ticton. I mean, like I say, he will still get the accolade, still get the 3 points, which he could deny for Nick Cassidy. It reminds me of, do you remember Michael Schumacher, Monaco 2012, when he got pole position there and everyone was really rooting for him, but he had a 5-place penalty, so he never started from it.
You know what's happening here? Tom's trying to claw his way back into Dan's good books, but comparing him to Michael Schumacher.
No doubt about it. We've got the party later on. I'll buy him a beer. I'm sure he said he likes 1 or a million or whatever he said in one of those post-race interviews one time. I'm sure I can work my way back in there. I have to say, though, on a serious note, really have been impressed with how mature his driving has been over the last half of this season in particular. He's really been able to extract the maximum from that car, and also just, you know, outside of the car as well. He seems like a new driver.
Yeah, it could have gone either way with new ownership, new team identity, if you like. But actually, he's been central to helping build the personality of the team, build the performance, and therefore deserves the position where he is now, driving beautifully,
but also off the back of his results, they'll be able to attract, another top-line driver, won't they? Because, with all due respect to David Beckman, he's not had a great season. He's got 0 points on the board, and that would be a hard sell if they didn't have Dan to attract another top-line driver. So, from Kiro's perspective, that's going to be good for next year.
Yep, no doubt about it. A few minutes to go then until this session is about to get underway. Final preparations ongoing here for Jaguar TCS Racing and Nick Cassidy. So, whilst we're waiting for the finals to get underway, let's have some team radio here for Nick Cassidy and work out his side of the story ahead of this final.
So Nick had a moment to turn 16. You did back off enough there, so we're okay.
Yeah, we're good.
On the right. Yeah, we're good.
Backed off a lot, huh?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, no, you backed off enough. Yeah, good job, mate. I know it's not what we want to do, but yeah, we've done the right thing for the team.
Mitch Evans, based on the team radio, we heard the ultimate team play going on there to help Nick secure those, or try to secure those 3 points of pole position.
Yeah, obviously, look, I will definitely help where I can. Obviously, a big focus is the team championship, but obviously Nick's got after yesterday's result as well, it was a good position to finish top 3, which is it's very important to him. And he was quick as well, and I was feeling good, but with Dan's penalty, I was kind of guaranteed third, so it was kind of a no-brainer.
If you cast your mind back to, say, before Shanghai, I can imagine you and the team really didn't expect to be in this position come the final race.
No, look, you know, on my side, like, I mean, actually both of us, you know, to make it through to the duels both days, for me to make it this far both days, you know, a few races ago, that felt like a, you know, really big ask and kind of felt very unrealistic. So we've really turned things around this weekend. It's obviously it's a unique track. We've always gone well here, but, you know, we've done well at other tracks that we went to this year and we didn't do so well. So hopefully it's a turning point for us. We can continue this momentum into next season.
So then, ready to go for the finals for the final time in 2025. Nick Cassidy versus Dan Ticktum. Jaguar versus Cooper Akiro. Pole position on the line here for Dan Ticktum, possibly for the first ever time in terms of the accolade, because he does have a 5-place grid penalty after contact with Mitch Evans yesterday in the E-Prix. So at best, he's going to start, what, 6th on the grid, isn't he, unfortunately? But unfortunately...
Right, so... the final duel is about to get underway, and for some reason I have turned my phone off. There we go. So we Cassidy versus Ticktum. Why does this feel so familiar? Except last time I think it was Verline versus Ticktum. Yeah, I think it was. Last time I covered it, obviously not last time out. Was it last time out? I don't know. I've lost track of all the time. I generally think I'm losing it. Oh, a train went past. Well, they're doing their warm-up lap, though we're near the end of the qualifying session, given this is the final. And then I'll have to head over straight away to F1. Which I hope is an interesting race, but not a race with a red flag. Please, but I think it will be raining. So after this, please do tune into that, because I generally think it is raining at Spa right now. I mean, not torrential rain, but decent enough rain. And given that Ticktum has a 5-place grid penalty, Cassidy feels quite happy either way, whether he gets first or second. Honestly, I'd just give the first to Ticktum anyway in this final. They're about to finish their warm-ups and get underway. So Cassidy will finish on pole either way. And, oh, it is heavy, heavy rain at Spa. Oh, please don't tell me it's 2021 rain. I cannot be dealing with that. For anyone who's not familiar with that, 4 hours and a half of covering. It was only 2 laps long. Max Verstappen won it because he was in pole position. It was on a safety car the entire time. Right, so Ticktum's currently 29 thousandths of a second ahead of Cassidy right now. Honestly, Ticktum, you just have fun. Oh, Cassidy's not going to let you have fun. He's just gone about a 10th ahead of you. Oh, but now he's got a 10th behind you. What's going on with you two? Why are you both doing 120s? Like, with the 10ths. And Ticktum is now 2 tenths ahead of Cassidy. Going round what I believe is the final sector. And Ticktum manages to get first in the duel and win the duel with a 107.278, with Cassidy coming in second with a 107.494. So honestly, that's pole for Dan Ticktum. They seem excited about it, but in about a minute's time they're going to remember that he's not actually going to be on pole position. They're going to celebrate the fact that they actually got it, but they can't keep it. It's been taken away from them. Like they're being grounded. Don't know what for, but that's very good. Oh, it's his home Grand Prix as well. He got pole in his home Grand Prix, and yet he can't keep it. That's unfair. That's so unfair. It's the unfairest of unfairs. Right, this will be a quick off, because obviously I have to get to the F1 box, and so does JT, because JT is producing.
Fuck, sorry man, sorry. No, I didn't do it, I'm so sorry man.
No, sorry.
Oh, you guys were perfect. No, sorry to mention, I'm sorry to the team. I was not good enough.
Don't beat yourself up. Hey, not that. Yeah, it's a pretty decent job. Get back in. All good, let's go to mate. All good.
The man's apologising like he's not going to be on pole either way. He does remember this, right? Does he know? I don't think he does know. Maybe they kept it as a surprise. Oh well. He's going to find out soon. Right, so that is the end of the qualifying session here for Formula E. And it's... Ooh, did Tipton lose? That's why Tipton lost some time in that opening sector. Keep hitting the curves. Those are just insane. And it is important for the Cassidy to get 3 points. So that's, I've been informed, that's why he is apologising to the team. Though he'll be fine. I hope he wins. Let's hope Cassidy wins. This is Tipton's radio.
Well done, man. Wow.
That's a very, very special season, gentlemen and ladies.
Yeah, that's one way to finish it off.
We've ticked all the boxes there. That's amazing. You should be so proud of yourself, all of you guys. You really should.
Mega job, Dan. Mega job. Thank you very much.
Now I kind of hope Tipton wins. So we'll all find that out later. But quick off now. So thank you for watching. Thank you to JT for producing and helping me throughout this. Please go over to the other stream, which is the F1 stream for Belgium, Spa, where it is heavy rain, so it's bound to be incredibly entertaining and watching loads of commentators go insane if there's a red flag again. I feel like it's going to be every 4 years. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.